Yeah, every time I move forward, the show's like, no, and I'm going to complain about it. Welcome to the Average Adventuring Party podcast, where the GM was going to have more guns in the setting, but then decided that the party would shoot their eyes out.
I do have a gun, which I've used to pummel people with.
You have a long-distance club.
Yeah.
I mean, you also have a pair of guns.
Galdrian misses having a gun.
You had a very special gun a long time
A
ago.
very special gun. A long time from now. A long time ago.
And all I can hear is Kiss playing Love Gun.
So, let's see. Where'd we leave you guys off?
Well, we had left Overlooked, went to My Ear, got some supplies, and
Petted some kobold puppies.
some oddly non-murderous kobold puppies. Non-murderous so far. It remains to be seen what they'll do once we start making a move for the cave entrance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you guys found these critters outside this gigantic archway, which now that you're close enough, you can see it has all these really cool bas-relief carvings in it of dragons laying on hordes. But when you get a closer look, they're laying on hordes of eggs and not, coins.
Interesting.
Icus was taking the well-thought-out plan when last we met of walking past said kobold puppies.
Yeah, you walk past them. One of them turns and watches you go. You step into the archway, turns back around, continues watching the horizon.
Hold up my arms, wave them around.
Take a couple steps back.
Yeah.
Galdrian will...
I don't think they care.
Yeah. Galdrian will look at them and say, good boy / girl?
Good it.
They don't do anything.
Good. Kind of pat one on the head.
Yeah, like when you touch it, it looks at you, but then goes back to doing what it was doing.
Well, I'm glad we did not resort to murder, because these do not appear to be... First of all, they don't look like the other... the abominations. I suspect we might be looking at exceptions here. This may be the original.
I still reserve the right to regret us not murdering these if things go poorly later. But yes, pet.
No, we can't take them with us. I'm saying that right now.
I'm gonna boop one real quick and then go down by Iacus and change back to me.
Yep, you whoop it. It whoops you back, then continues to watch the horizon.
Right.
Well, I'll lead the way.
When you look back, one of them is looking at another one, and it just leans forward and they boop noses,
Oh, God.
and then they just turn back to the horizon.
Poop a snoot.
That is too fucking cute. Let's get moving.
Yes, let's get going. I'm glad we chose not to do the murder thing.
That again, I did not suggest.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're very
Make
proud
sure
of
I
you,
get
Stephen.
credit.
To be fair, I've been spending too much time with you, Suna.
And then we'll go ahead and head on into the cave and
We not die.
hopefully not
Yeah.
die.
Yeah, you go in. It is pitch black.
I can see.
Who wants to be lit up like a firecracker? Cast light on Iacus.
Iacus, you step in. You are lighting the way. You're in what is effectively a foyer that has another large archway in it. When you look up, you can't see the ceiling.
Okay.
The walls, excuse me, are fairly ornately carved, and through that other archway there is another antechamber, and then there's another archway, and beyond that's another chamber, and so on and so forth, multiple iterations down.
So, are we looking at anything in the cave, like anything moving?
Not in your immediate area.
Okay.
Now, do I have any knowledge of the general setup of a dragon nesting lair or den with my forgotten draconic library?
Sounds like a good intelligence check.
All right. 15.
Yeah, these are probably, excuse me, these are probably antechambers that were meant to basically be kind of like waiting areas for kobolds or visitors or things like that. If it continues on, there is actually a hatchery somewhere down there. There's probably also some storage and at least one other exit out.
Okay. I'll relay this knowledge and say, hey, just from what I remember about dragon lairs is, this is the waiting area. We'll have several of those. And then once we get further in, we'll find the hatchery where the dragons are actually had. And then there should be a second entrance. So if we're going to have a surprise, it's probably going to be later on.
One of these days, you'll need to explain how you know so much about dragons.
Just do. Don't y'all know this stuff?
No.
I almost became one, and I didn't even know that.
Huh. Well, we'll probably find that stuff that way, so let's keep going.
You're a little too chipper there.
What languages do you guys speak?
None.
We didn't do that.
Yeah, we actually didn't do that.
I can tell you what languages Galdrian spoke in the original D&D, and
So who picked up that draconic primer? That random.
I actually have the draconic primer.
Yeah. So I'll say as you guys start moving through the waiting rooms, these foyers, they get larger and larger, and you start seeing effectively draconic scribbles on the walls, including at one point what looks to be a height chart, like scratched into the walls, and just some kind of general like doodles.
And if you remember, like if you need in-game justification for it, I did say way back on the Stoat that I was spending my extra time reading the primer. So.
Yep, you start seeing that. You start hearing movement, maybe 3 or 4 of these rooms up. As you pass through an archway, it kind of catches you a little off guard because standing maybe 20 or 30 feet back, kind of just like up against a wall, are those kobolds that you saw outside. There's maybe, I don't know, 15 of them here, and they're just sort of milling about. There is at least one of them that is, if you've ever seen when you do dissection, like when you dissect a frog and you pin it down and cut all its organs out, there's at least one of them that has been vivisected that way, and is on display, and like all of its organs have been taken out, and there are more of those draconic runes just kind of like carved into the walls behind it.
What are the runes saying?
For those, it says there's all kinds of different things, but mostly like measurements. So, like for instance, if this thing has a heart or a gland sac, like they're measuring height, width, depth, volume. But kind of off to the side, there's a name, which is to say, I guess, a noun, which is razor maw, and it's just kind of been like slashed through with a couple of claws. And the last note says, works best in groups, haven't resolved instability, extremely fragile, limit group numbers when deploying, ? Reduces incidence of chain reactions.
I will tell them this and what it said and say, I think these are meant to go boom.
Right. Well, let's not get too close then.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look to
What's meant to go boom?
The puppies.
Like they gonna blow up?
Yes. and they're more effective in large groups. Although there was a question suggesting limiting the group so there's not less of a chain reaction.
So
like
you're
big
saying somebody could set the 3 off up there and cave us in, is what you're telling me right now.
It was a pretty high arch.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it was like 15.
Way too high.
It would take a lot, but there is a second entrance as well, further in, if it hasn't been destroyed.
Let's hope you're right.
Well, I am.
Let's not pick any fights.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let's keep
Bad
moving on.
idea. Go deeper into a cave.
Is there a way we can, like, maybe kind of block this off like a statue or something that we can pull down?
No.
Okay.
It is just a wide open room.
Okay. All right.
And actually, when you like start looking around for that and look over on the other side, there's maybe a dozen or so more on the other side.
Huh.
This one, however, is also kind of like the name is scratched through, but it has a little like version 2 notifier. And the notes are more or less the same, still prone to chain reaction.
So they were experimenting on them and making them better. These might be the precursors to the kobolds that we saw out there. It could be that they were looking into perfecting their morphability. I don't know, I'm no scientist, but I could see them making a bad explosion guy and keep trying to improve them until they got the kobolds that we fought outside.
Granted, the ones we fought outside weren't all that stable either.
Yeah, but you find one that eventually does what you need to do, and then you do what you got. I think we keep going through these and see what we can find.
I want to know, though, why aren't they attacking us?
Maybe
Well,
they expect us to attack them first.
Or maybe, if my idea is correct, if you're trying to breed different versions, you start with the non-aggressive kind, and then you breed aggression into them because they're having to be cut open, put down. You don't want somebody that's going to get really excited and blow up on you right away. So you want to get to the level that you want them to reach, and then you start breeding in the traits that you want from them.
So, living in a forest, animals die. You would think that I could kind of maybe at least guess or have an idea of how long it's been dead. Maybe not exactly or anything, but know if it's been dead a month.
You walk up to that one. Go ahead and give me a wisdom check.
I could probably check that with medicine, maybe. If she.
Yeah, you want to assist her?
I got 18.
Oh.
That was not a good laugh.
But it's not a good laugh.
That's a corpse.
No, the one thing I will give you is, as you like move it aside, it is preserved somehow, probably magically. But there are also, for lack of a better term, like canopic jars, so clay vases. You pop one open and it just has this like white, foul-smelling gunk in it. You pop another one open and it is just clearly full of blood.
Right.
Okay. So my other question is, you said that there's a few of them in the room, or in the area,
Yeah. So if you
that are alive.
like, if you're looking down a hallway,
Mm-hmm.
there's a big room.
Okay.
To your left, there's a bunch of them, and that corpse. To your right, and like up an archway, there are more of them, and another corpse.
Are they like in a group?
Huh?
Or is there like one or two and another one and two? I mean, I know they're all kind of.
They are
but
all.
Are they all like?
They are
bunched?
all just clustered together, standing still.
Like a football huddle.
No,
Okay.
like they're breathing, they're kind of shuffling about, but more or less they're staying in place. They're just there's a group of them.
Do they look thin and emaciated? Do they look like they're fed?
It's hard to tell with kobolds because they're kind of thin anyway.
Okay.
What do kobolds eat? Can we like?
Carrion?
Us.
Do I have anything that maybe I'm gonna pull out a beef jerky or something and kind of wave it near one?
Yeah, you walk over and wave it around, and it locks eyes on this beef jerky stick, and it looks at you and looks at the stick and just doesn't take it.
They're like zombies.
Docile, but again, that comes back to if I thought if I was trying to breed the perfect weapon, that's how I would handle
But
it.
how would you set it off?
Well,
I don't think the intention is for it to necessarily explode. I think the intention is that it's used as an attack dog. Not this model, of course, but perhaps whatever the next step was, and that the chain reaction just happens to be a unpleasant side effect. They are probably pack hunters. Is probably if
So if we
I
were
have
to
to
kill one, it would explode and the others would explode.
potentially.
Potentially.
And when I say explode, I don't necessarily mean a fiery explosion. It could
No.
just be
Blood and guts.
blood and guts. Yes.
Yeah.
It could be fire though.
well,
because
let's continue into the antechambers and see if we see version 3.
Oh, you don't want to kill one and see what happens?
No.
No, I would rather not.
Not yet.
Okay.
Because it may turn the whole horde against us, or we may just be ending a miserable creature's very uneventful life.
Or it could go boom. Which is what we'd be testing, but I don't want things to go boom yet.
Okay.
It's an option for later.
Yeah. On down the antechamber.
So you
Am I glowing?
Looking for version 3, version 4 if there are.
Because I'm still red, right?
Yeah,
My aura?
you're still lightly glowing.
Okay.
You go up a few, and from somewhere up there you hear sort of, it sounds like talking, but you've heard Draconic and it's very like snarly and growly, but it's way up there. But you hear this real heavy breathing, and when you get into the next antechamber, there's some slightly stockier figures, but they're standing on 2 legs, and they look more akin to the traditional kobolds you've seen. One of them is split vertically in half, and all of his organs are cataloged, and you can see there is not, it wasn't present in the previous one, but there's just like this gigantic sac, and it has effectively like a second esophagus that goes up through the mouth, and the notes on the wall say innate breath weapon, ? Limited, effective. Initial encounters indicate higher efficacy rating over fire, ice, lightning, and poison. Bipedal nature inherently inferior to quadrupedal body type. Add alternative method of translocation? ? And there are some notes regarding this sac of what looks to be kind of the way that kobolds trigger breath weapons, regarding it being some sort of staggering breath weapon.
Now, on examining that, is there a way that we can see, because it's got the vivisection on there, if I were to punch the thing, can I punch it in the sack? Like from on a living kobold?
Like if you were to walk up, you could. It has a like a fused breastbone under its scales protecting it. So like where we have ribs, theirs is non-sectional. So you would have to punch it hard enough to break a sternum to get to it.
Okay. Noted.
And it's that way from the back as well. Like their entire rib structure is solid.
Okay.
But inside that, it's got lungs and stomach and all the usual bits.
So if you're stabbing on the stab in the stomach and stab up, that should pierce the sac.
The ones that are ambulating, are they noticing us and just not doing anything?
Not doing anything.
Say something in Draconic to them, Mr. Draconic Primer.
Can I
El
try?
queso es viejo y moderno. Que donde es el baño?
I've forgotten all the Draconic I knew because it
I've
wasn't
forgotten mine too.
Can I see if I know Draconic?
I mean,
Or if I can
yes,
speak
You
to it?
can use the primer to
Okay.
more or less speak to them.
Sit.
we'll say like 10 pairs of eyes turn and look at you.
Uh-huh.
And nobody does anything, but they're paying attention to you.
Please sit down. Or snarl, growl, growl.
I can start.
There is no word for please in Draconic? Huh.
But there are 37 ways of saying or else.
Or else.
No, they.
Okay.
I mean, they're still paying attention to you, but none of them like leave the side of their room they're on. And when you stop talking to them after a minute or so, they just stop paying attention to you.
Okay.
Right, let's keep moving. I have a feeling we are witnessing the
Birth of the kobolds.
birth of the ones that have been attacking, so we should be prepared in case the ones further in are not as docile.
Uh-huh.
The mean elves
Huh.
would add them to their zoo.
Uh-huh. Yep. Well, continuing on.
So you get to effectively the end of these.
I will say before we go on, like, hey, I think I hear speech on down the hallway, so move quietly, keep our voices down, and keep an eye out because I heard heavy breathing.
I guess you're lit up like a star.
So maybe you should be in the back.
Nah, that's fine.
We could see from the glow if you're back there, and it would be not as bright out in front.
Y'all's choice.
I'm just pointing out, you can be as stealthy as you want, but you are lit up.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I'm okay with going first because at least some type of damage would hurt them if they hit me first.
Be as loud as you want. It's fine.
Let's just go.
Yeah, so like I said, the hallways have been very ornately carved. They've worn down with age and use, but when you get to the end, there've kind of been these little like bas reliefs of eggs and dragons, like tiny little dragons hopping from egg to egg. And when you get to the end, there's a gigantic one of a dragon in a pool. We'll say going left. There's one of a dragon soaring through the air and the archway going straight, and then to the right there are just piles of eggs with a dragon sitting on them. And the voice is coming from that one.
What color of dragon?
It's just carved out of stone. It's not colored.
Do we hear the voice?
Yes. You would have to guess, based on facial features, it's probably more red or white dragon than anything.
So, it looks like it's coming from the other side of the bas relief, or
So-
just down that hall.
Yeah, so to the left there's a hallway leading off. To straight there's a hallway, and then to the right there is a hallway, and the voice is coming. There's a singular voice coming from that way.
From the sound of it, it's like hatchery, exit, pool.
So I could meditate and ask my god or the druids for assistance, or maybe see if I can get a feel for what's.
It would be good to know if there's something really big.
Yeah. I think we should check out the pool first. I don't know why. It's just a gut feeling. It might be nothing.
The pool first?
Where the voice is coming from?
No, the
Or
voices are coming from the
no.
hatchery.
The voices
Yeah.
are coming from the hatchery.
Let's check out the pool then.
You want to do that before I
No,
meditate?
no, you meditate first. So, like, while you're meditating, this is
Okay.
we're talking.
So I'm meditating.
Mhm.
I'm using my cloak effect.
Okay.
So give me a second, though. I was hoping y'all would keep talking,
Yeah.
so I can
Okay.
ask a question,
Yeah.
come up with a question.
So,
So you can leave Suna in the hallway, and
No, let's not do
No.
that.
No.
Um,
Go back to an explosion.
for me, what I
So,
think
no.
it is, I think the dragon flying would probably be the exit.
Mm-hmm.
The pool, I have no idea what the pool might be.
It might just be a pool.
Might be,
Swimming's
but,
fun.
might be, but whatever the species, birth is always something difficult. So it could be a healing pool, it could be just a normal pool. I don't know, but I feel like there might be some significance over there.
Well, it would be good to know how many creatures are in each vicinity or each direction, and the size of them.
Well, and we know that, at least from the one direction, there's something there, and I'd rather deal with the unknowns over the known, or deal with the known. Yeah, the unknowns over the known. So we.
The gnomes.
Those bastards are back again.
These aren't kobolds, they're just very lanky gnomes.
Okay. So, I guess I'm going to meditate and try to ask the druids.
So this is not your druids. This is your cloak.
I know, but it just says you may ask the GM, and I'm trying to be a little bit more in character, because you're not in the game. So
Yeah.
I'm asking somebody.
You're asking
Yeah,
your god.
if you recall, it is you meditating on the cloak and your spirit roaming the area.
Oh, no, I did not remember that. That's cool. Oh, that's even better. Ooh!
Just gonna pitter patter the worst direction.
I can murder people from a distance.
But I can only ask you one yes or no question.
Well,
So
figure out what that question is.
I know. So I'm going to ask, what kind? Oh no, I can't say what kind. It's gotta be yes or no. I'm not good with yes or no.
Is there? I would.
All right. So, what question did you want to ask?
I was gonna ask what kind of nature type objects do I feel like? Grass, more towards that way. Air, more towards that way. What kind of nature am I feeling?
So,
Towards
if
the
you're
pool.
gonna put that as a yes or no, it's
So-
is there?
Is there a lot of water towards the tunnel along? Because it's a pool. It's gonna be water. So that's gonna be a yes.
Oh, maybe ask something related to the creature size. Like, is there a size large creature?
Are the inhabitants that are over in the nesting area the only inhabitants in either of the 3 tunnels?
Not including the voice, because we know about the voice.
So you're asking.
If there's other inhabitants in the other tunnels, not
Okay,
just those.
so a clearer way to have asked
Sorry.
that was:
I was coming up with it on the fly.
are there creatures in each of these tunnels?
Yes.
You contemplate while were you guys walking towards the?
We're standing guard over
Okay.
her. Like we're waiting for her.
So Suna drops to her butt, crosses her legs, pulls the cloak over her face, and a minute or so later comes back. In that, I assume you mean creatures of like y'all's size or bigger,
Correct.
not just like beasts and animals and stuff. Yeah. There are only creatures down the way with the eggs.
So it seems to be that the other 2 ways are empty. Or at least of beings.
Okay.
Alright, let's check out that pool then.
Still won't hurt to check it out. Just means that there's no beings to foil us.
Hopefully.
Automatons, go!
You fools.
A bunch of dragons
All right.
moving.
So we'll head to the pool room first.
Yep, you walk probably about half a mile, and you empty out into this very large, it's probably a mile or so across, and it has different pools of varying shapes and sizes, and each one is basically stood guard over by a gigantic stone dragon statue. Some of them are 30, 40 feet tall, some of them are 200 feet tall. But within the pools, so let's say one of them is rectangular. Imagine like a swimming pool. It tears down, and it has gradually narrowing width of stairs. So like the largest tier has stairs that are maybe 30 feet across, and it goes down, and then there's a tier, and then the next one are like 25 feet across, and then 20, and all the way down to like the last tier of the pool would be 3, 4, 5 foot deep, and it has a set of steps that you could climb down easily. And then there are these jagged irregularities. You kind of walk around one of the pools a little bit, and you can see they are just claw marks, but not like something has clawed into the stone. But imagine if you were a people, like a handprint, right? They are the shape of dragon claws, and they are directly underneath. There's one set of varying, gradually smaller sizes, all the way down to the last pool, directly in front of that dragon statue.
Can I make anything of it with my knowledge?
I mean, it's clearly a pool of some kind.
Yeah, but what function would something like this serve?
If you had to guess, probably accommodating various sizes of dragons.
You got the kids' pool, you got the grown-ups' pool.
But it's all one pool.
Or you got the kids section and the grown-up section. You got the shallow end and the deep end.
Except it.
I'm going to look at the statues a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Are they, different
Mm-hmm.
dragons on each one?
Oh, yeah.
Have I heard about any of them? No.
No, I mean, there's mostly red dragons, like the same facial structure as what you've seen, right, on kobolds and what you remember from red dragons. But they are, like I said, various sizes and shapes. And
is there any, little plaques under them? I mean, I can't read them, but are there any little writing or...
You are small enough that you can basically look up at the base of the statue and look straight up, and where the thing's mouth is, there's clearly a pipe jutting out on the inside.
So hot springs or something. I don't know.
Where they all bathe, maybe? The dragons
I was
bathe?
about to say a bathhouse.
Does it look like the water would come out of those pipes or some other?
That's probably a fair assessment.
Okay. Is there any liquid whatsoever right now? So, looking at the ground, does it look like it would have just been liquid? Like there's no sign of scorching or anything like that, or?
Mm-hmm.
So, can I turn into a raven and fly up to one of the, not the 200-foot one, but kind of one of the higher ones and kind of look down?
Mm-hmm.
I just want an overhead shot.
Sure.
Do I see anything weird or?
I mean,
This is all weird.
So,
yeah, but
so very.
is there any?
Yeah, so very clearly, if you think about the few times you've gone to somewhere that's had running, indoor plumbing, right? If you think of a modern real world sink, how it's got 2 knobs on it.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine those claw marks at basically that width apart. And there's super duper gigantic, really big, slightly smaller, down until they're Suna could probably, in the smallest pool, put her hands on both.
But they're not set up in a weird shape. They don't make a weird shape or anything like that.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Nothing. Is it just an indentation? There's no. If I put my hand in one, there's no give or anything to it.
So if you go to the largest one up top without crawling down, if you put your whole body weight on it, nothing happens.
What if I stand beside him?
Nothing happens.
And then if I go to the one where the indentations would be about the size of my hands.
So there's this huge rumbling underneath your feet. After about 10 seconds, just a very to you high pressured but relatively small stream of water starts coming out of that dragon's mouth, and it hits the top tier of the pool and starts slowly filling up down to your level. And as it does, the room is beginning to kind of fill with steam and the smell of sulfur.
Bathhouse.
Right. Dragon
Okay.
bathhouse.
I'm gonna fly down at the opening and be okay. So.
Anything special about the water that I can tell?
I mean, if you're standing in place, at those indentations, when the water comes down, it will hit you directly on. But if you kind of just step out of the way and let it run past you, it's sulfurous. It's very hot.
Is it dangerously hot for a
No.
elf? Okay.
Like, prolonged exposure would probably be bad.
Yeah.
But it's sauna temperature.
How long have you been in here? Like, in the cave completely?
Like, in the cave completely, maybe 10 or 15 minutes.
Okay. So I'm judging how long he's still going.
It's like I said, it's about half a mile up that cave, but I assumed once you guys got past those interior rooms, you started hustling.
Yeah.
Right.
So, what if the fly... Okay, since this is a bathhouse, I think I disagree with the other one is an exit. What if it is just an open room to teach them how to fly?
That's still an exit. I mean, not an exit for us.
Could be.
Right. Well, we should probably go ahead and
Check the voices.
check the voices now.
Yeah.
And if I pull out the 2 stones,
Mhm.
is it real? Is the dot in a different direction than it was before?
No.
Still to the northeast? Or it's still...
It's
Still where it was
a static map. Like, it has no...
static map. Okay.
It has no...
So we
It's
are
not
very
the
close to that
compass.
dot.
I mean, it doesn't have a... You
Oh,
are here.
But if I had a
If you had to guess, yeah.
Right. We should expect to see Mardiana ahead. So
Or a Mardiana.
let's be careful and have our wits about us. We don't know what we're going into.
Having our wits about us, there's a first time for everything. Yeah.
Keep
So,
that statue handy.
you said you were still in the volcano?
Can you relight me just to make sure?
Or you switched over to cave?
I can tap you all day.
Just that way it doesn't.
I can tap you all day long.
Oh,
Because you said
For
you
the
could. You
meditation.
said you could see in the dark.
They can.
I thought I had...
You-
Didn't I have something? that
Yes,
I
if
could-
you're in a cave. You get.
Oh.
echo.
You have to meditate
Yes.
on tremor
Okay.
sense.
Yes.
Okay.
So I switched over to cave.
So there are. It's a pretty long walk back up the
Mm-hmm.
hallway. You pass that junction, and as you get closer to that voice, you can actually start hearing it talk in Draconic. It appears to be arguing with something, but it's speaking very, very fast.
Mm-hmm.
And
Is there any movement going on that I can feel?
yes, we'll say at one point you feel the presence of some living creatures, and when you look at the doorway, there's just like a gigantic, like each eye is like this, 8-10 inches wide, and it's set into a kobold face, and it is just leaned around the corner, and it's just watching you. And the minute it sees you, it blinks like really rapidly. It's like blink, 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 and then it just takes off.
I want to try and catch it.
I think we've been found.
All right, I'm going after the eye.
Going.
Okay. Bright
Yeah,
light
keep an eye.
running.
Yeah, I just leave you guys in the dark.
I mean,
Running after him.
I can pick up a rock and cast light on it too.
Well, I can perceive my surroundings, so I should be able to at least tell if we're about to run into something, right?
Yes,
Okay.
there are all kinds of creatures around the corner. Iacus rounds the corner, and in time to see a kobold that's probably about 3 feet high, and it has really big, like buff arms with big hands, but it has a very skinny kobold-like body. It has, the standard like alligator gar type snout, but it does have gigantic eyes. You see it basically dive into a pile of creatures. They're kind of the same scale pattern as kobolds, but these are super beefy on the front end. So think of a pit bull, how it has just like a massive chest and a much skinnier rear end. That's how these are. It has a series of tentacles coming out of the back of its head, including one large one that runs all the way down its spine and kind of drags along like a tail. It doesn't have eyes. It just sort of has these armor plates across its face. And like that armor covers its face, the top of its head, its shoulders, its neck, and then it just has this maw that's sticking out, and that big-eyed creature just dives into a pile of maybe 6 or 8 of them.
Nope, do
I'd
not
like
want.
to grab my 2 things of oil and crash them on the floor in front of them.
Okay.
Just make a little grease trap.
Okay.
You just gotta slide into them.
Yeah, pretty much.
So Iacus, you throw these down, greases the floor, and those things kind of look up at you,
They're not hostile.
and then go back to laying around.
I wasn't gonna take a chance.
Yeah, I'm like, nope, do not want.
All right, so let's keep moving.
Uh,
I think these are just as not interested in aggression. They may defend themselves if provoked, but I think we can.
Each one of those, now that you guys can see them, they're probably larger than Iacus end to end.
uh-huh.
Right,
Yes,
let's
sir.
not tangle with these.
Yeah, that's fine. Why do you think I wanted to make them slip?
Right.
But we don't notice anything that could have been talking so far?
No,
No, we're not.
you still hear that voice.
It's
Still
okay.
here? Okay.
You notice that there's kind of very similarly to the previous rooms, there is not one vivisected, but there are all kinds of notes and drawings of them just like scratched into the rock.
Mhm.
The room has the noun frenzy on them, and it is not scratched through. The note says more stable initially, less controllable. High mobility and agility, burns out too quickly though. Can cause itself great harm by continuing to operate at or beyond peak efficiency. Has promise.
I will relay said information. I'm not looking forward to the final form.
That we may or may not have already met.
Maybe.
How
Let's-
big are these scratches? The chronic scratches.
The notes, they're probably, I don't know, 1.5 to 2 inches.
So we're not looking at something massive that created them.
We're just looking at something rope big.
Yeah, like if Suna stood on the ground like flat-footed and reached her arm up as high as it could possibly go, that's probably about as high as the notes.
So it's bigger than us, most likely, but not.
I'm just someone who likes to write very big.
Yeah, let's keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
And well, every time we run into one of these sets of notes and vivisections and stuff, I'm just gonna like put in her notebook.
Okay.
Does it, as we're looking at the notes, does it talk about any weaknesses other than potentially burning itself out?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I mean, you get like a good idea of how thick that scale plating is on the front of it, and attacking these things head on is like, unless you had a siege weapon, you're probably not going to crack into them.
Okay.
You do see, however, in one of the drawings. So right now, imagine that long. So they have the tentacles coming out of the back of their head, and then it has that one long, thick one that could be a tail.
Mm-hmm.
There is a drawing of that. So imagine it curled. Well, so right now, all of them, it is like laying down between their legs like a dog's tail.
Mm-hmm.
The one of the pictures that is carved into the wall has that, and then another one has the tail like up over its back like a scorpion, and the end of it is split open, and there are just spikes on the inside.
I don't like that picture.
Yeah, no,
Nope.
not at all. 0 of 10 would not do again.
So,
There's also a note that says, had to relocate mouth due to scale plating, perhaps not optimal location, and it points to
No.
that one with its tail.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
so if we're gonna continue heading on towards the voices, and I can sense the tremors, is it a tremor, like a constant tremor that maybe they're pacing or walking around, or is it a big tremor and then nothing and then a big tremor?
So what you
What
get
kind of tremor is it?
from those frenzies, they're kind of just like milling around, looking around, laying around, and there's something that's scrabbling back in that pile, and every now and then you'll just see these two gigantic eyeballs like peek over the top of the pile, see that you're still there, and then duck back down. From down the hallway, there is something larger than that. There is something else larger than that. And then there are, let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things moving about, one of which is pacing back and forth.
Well, I want to go back to the one that keeps on peeking at us for a moment.
Yeah,
He's the
I'm
only
sorry.
one who reacted to us.
So why don't you try saying something to him?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's why I want to go back to. I'll go to the pile.
Mhm.
And
You pick your way over the grease.
Carefully.
Oh.
Yeah, this gigantic luminous eye just peeks out.
How are you?
Kind of, does that thing where it squares its body away behind one of these other creatures that keeps looking at you.
I'm not going to attack you. Do you have food? Wait, I have food.
Our food.
Are you food?
I'll reach through my pack and find some rations or something and see if I can lure it out of the pile, ET style. Lay one down, lay another one down.
It does come out a little bit,
Mhm.
but it doesn't take any food.
Mhm.
And you can see that it too is mostly red, but it has those different colored patches on it.
Uh-huh.
And it just watches you.
Can you speak?
It just watches you.
Hold out a hand non-threateningly.
It blinks at you.
Right. I hate to interrupt this riveting conversation, but we should get moving.
Uh-huh.
Time is of the essence.
It is. It is.
Touch it. Touch it. See what happens. Just
No.
boop it. See
I
if it
want
gets.
to so bad, but
Just boop it.
No.
no.
See what
Finds your made of
happens.
note.
No. Okay. Sorry, eye guy. I wish you could have spoken.
It watches you guys go down the hallway.
Come on.
Yeah, as basically it keeps a 30-foot gap between it and you.
Uh-huh.
So as you walk forward, it walks forward behind you.
Uh-huh.
If you stop, it stops. If you move back, it moves back.
Okay.
It's just keeping an eye on you. Suna, as you're walking down the hallway, up to your left, there's something moving. Like you get the sense of, let's say, from here to there, there's something, but you are literally looking at nothing.
So, guys, stop moving.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
At the end of the hallway, there's a very well lit room, like extremely well lit, and you can see there is every now and then there will be a kobold that walks back and forth. He appears to be just yelling at nothing, and he'll like stop, yell, point, and then you'll see another kobold run by. And then he'll stop and start yelling at something and then start muttering to himself.
But hasn't noticed us yet.
No.
Because we stopped.
He's a ways away, but
Something is moving.
something is moving directly, like 5 feet up the passageway to your left. But you cannot see
Moving
it.
towards us or just kind of moving?
No, just kind of like,
Just kind of moving around.
yeah.
So, and there was I felt about 7?
There's
About 7?
one in front of you. There's one more somewhere up there, and then there's
7.
Yeah. 5, 6, 7, something like that in there.
Okay. So, guys, there's like 2. One really close moving around over there somewhere. Another one over here somewhere. And then a bunch in there.
Camouflage, perhaps.
So I have a feeling we take about 10 more feet and we'll be right next to the one moving right in here.
Right. Do we take the chance and just try to move around it?
Yeah, I think so. At this point.
But considering we can't see it, how do we move around it?
You can sense it.
Yeah, you can sense it.
Yeah, it's staying on like the left side of the passageway.
It might cast a shadow.
Or it might leave an indentation in the ground when it walks, depending on how soft it is.
Imagine it's stone.
It is stone.
Stone, then we won't. We might hear its step if it moves, but let's stick to the right side of the hallway and keep moving.
And then there's another one on the right side, right?
Mhm.
A little bit further
A
up,
little
though.
bit further up.
And you can perhaps sense if it makes a move towards us.
Okay. I'm going to be paying attention for movements, especially the one closest as we walk around, and then that one.
Yeah.
So,
Do I understand what the kobold's yelling?
yeah,
What's he saying?
is ordering directions. Like, pick that up. No, not that. That. Yes, put it over there. No, not there. There. You shut up. It's just
Okay.
alternating between giving instructions and yelling at something.
Fair enough.
As you guys, Suna tells you, like, there's something right there. You have a light, Ardith?
Yeah, I
And
have a
then-
rock that's lit up in
I am a light.
Iacus is a light.
We can turn that off, by the way, because I think we can see now.
I'm gonna leave it on.
As you guys pass the spot where Suna tells you there is something, there is no shadow cast on the wall. There's no like indentation.
So, since you said it sounds like he's giving orders and the things are picking stuff up, and no, not this. Does it sound like glass or like a clanking? I mean, metal? What is it? The other sounds?
Oh, it depends. Like sometimes you hear rock, sometimes you hear glass.
But we do hear other sounds.
Yes.
It's not like they're picking up, you know, that wouldn't make a noise type thing.
I mean, if they are, you're not.
I just make sure we are hearing other sounds, though.
As we walk by the thing that's supposedly invisible, Galdrian's gonna carefully reach out, probably reach out with the end of his bow
Mhm.
and just kind of nudge it a little bit.
So you just take your bow and like sweep it through the space.
Just real gentle, not enough to like.
You're not swatting at anything.
I'm
you're
not
just-
swatting.
you're
I'm not
just-
being aggressive. I'm just kind of like
Tap, tap.
prodding a little bit, like nudge.
Yeah. So Suna, when Galdrian goes to do that, that thing starts moving, and it is avoiding Galdrian. Like it takes 2 steps to the left.
So it feels like it's moving away from you.
Start moving it back the hallway.
Yep.
Once it looks like it's getting away, once it seems like it's gotten back, it'll rejoin the others and continue forward.
Yeah, you go back up the hallway a little bit, and Suna, you can feel that thing walking, and then you can feel the little guy with the big eyes. He also shuffles back, and then eventually Galdrian comes back. It seemed to be actively avoiding him.
So it might not. It's either really patient, or it is just trying to avoid us.
I was thinking it's more not going to let itself be known until we do something.
Well, we don't necessarily need to do anything hostile, but
But we're going to anyway.
That is our modus operandi.
As you guys pass by that, there's another one of those rooms with notes scrawled on it, but effectively like height, weight, dimension, all of that is just question mark, like unknown. There's a note that says needs appropriate designation, and then the one actual research note says no operational data, needs testing.
Basically, they lost it.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
so
Well,
let's
keep walking.
just loud and proud walk up into this room.
That's how we've done everything else.
I didn't know if we just want to send one of us in first and have the others kind of, back towards the back watching.
I hear what you say. I'm walking in.
I mean, we can make like a little pyramid of heads sticking around the corner.
Yeah, I mean, do something a little slower. Maybe with one of us, so they're surprised by one of us, and then the rest of us can come. Like, don't, walk in the middle of the room, but, kind of towards the edge of the doorway and kind of peek around.
Trying to do it quietly. Resume.
So, this is just a suggestion. We could all just line up and walk up in there, but...
Fine, I'll turn my light off and stick my head around the corner instead of my full body.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
To our advantage if they don't know our numbers. That has always worked for me. Make them think there's more
Your
of
number
me
has
than
always
there
been
is.
1.
But I always make them think there's more of me.
Okay.
Her number's always been murder.
Yeah,
I
sure.
mean,
Weird number murder.
We're gonna make murder louder.
I didn't hear that one on Lazy Town.
Yeah, so it's a straight shot up this hallway. You still feel those creatures behind you. Going in, there's maybe a 30 or 40 foot gap from where that archway is to where there are these stone statues that are massive. Like, they may as well be rooms unto themselves. And then beyond that is where it's all lit up. And you can clearly see there is effectively if there is a normal kobold, he looks normal. He has those splotches that the other creatures had. Following him, there's, well, for starters, that like the minute you guys kind of step into the room, the thing with the big eyes just runs right past you and like makes a huge circle and goes around you into that room. So,
Attack of opportunity.
so there's that guy. There's
so I guess he's going to alert him no matter what.
There's effectively like a train of kobolds that are either following this kobold or sitting still and just like swiveling in place as he's pacing back and forth and doing things. There's the one with the eyes who hops up on a table and just like starts blinking at you guys, like blink, 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 watching you, big wide eyes. There's one that's kind of standing in place and is just swiveling as that kobold walks. He's got 6 legs and 4 arms, like 4 large beefy arms. There's one
Not gonna be fun to fight.
If we have to.
There's one that's sitting on a table, and he's got a small cloud above his head, and it is actively snowing on him. There's one that is, think like a gargoyle, right? Like that gargoyle pose with the wings and all, and it's perched on the edge of a table. And at first you think it's, how do I want to put it? Like it's blurry. You've seen magical interference that makes things hard to see, hard to look at. But then you realize like it is just vibrating in place. And it's got a satchel around its shoulders that is just full of stone tablets. And as that one kobold is just pacing back and forth, yelling stuff, you can see him just like scrawling with his claw, almost like if you've ever seen a seismograph needle, how it just stays in place and scrawls things. And as soon as it finishes one, it sets it down, pulls out another stone tablet, and is just listening to him, and it's scrawling. And then there's so you've seen like a wooden water barrel or a whiskey barrel. It's a very fat kobold that doesn't appear to have wings, but it does have 2 heads that are just kind of like, one is curled back on itself, like if you've ever seen a swan curl its neck back, and then the other head is like curled back and resting on top of that. And every now and then one of its eyes will open and it'll follow that kobold who's talking. And when it sees it's not doing anything, it'll just close its eyes. And he continues walking back and forth, and at one point you see him pluck a scale just like out of his stomach and hold it up, and it starts glowing, and he's focusing on it, and it starts expanding into what looks like an organ, and he holds it up in Draconic. You hear him go, imperfect, terrible, worthless, and he just throws it down on the ground, and it just... At which point, that two-headed kobold, one of them, like, cranes its head and goes, and it just spits out this stream of steaming water, which washes that organ off to the side, and then it curls its head back and closes its eyes again. At which point, that pacing kobold walks over to the twitchy guy, grabs the stone tablet, and just like breaks it in half, throws it on the ground. Must start over. Imperfect. And he goes and paces like off into the shadows, past the lights. You can still hear him muttering.
So what's he getting mad about?
Yeah, he's, you saw the organ and all that jazz, so he seems to be mad that it was not perfect.
I mean, it looked like a pretty good organ to me.
Yeah, well, seems like he's the progenitor or the mad scientist that's creating these kobolds.
Or his own scales.
Yeah.
Wonder if he knows what's being done with his creations, or if he's actually involved in it.
After a few seconds, you see another kobold come out of the shadows, and it just kind of like grabs the remains of that organ that have been washed off to the side. Its mouth lights up, and it just, when it opens its mouth, like a 3-foot flame jets out of it, and it just takes the organ and tosses it in, and closes its mouth, and it just begins glowing brightly. And then after a couple of seconds, it dies down.
Right. Do we want to try to talk to him?
Oh, I mean, this is gonna get real ugly real fast, one way or the other. So.
Is there any sign of Mardiana?
Say what?
Any sign of Mardiana?
Not that I have seen. No. Well, maybe we can bypass the General Assembly since he's walked off into the darkness and try and get him by himself.
Do I feel anything more the way he walked?
No.
No. There's not like
Like
extra feeling.
No, you can feel him walking, and those things that you couldn't see are somewhere behind you.
Yeah.
Right. Let's go into the shadows then.
Okay. I will put my light out.
You've been watching. You've been waiting in the shadows.
Now I'm gonna grab my sunglasses.
That's actually a spell.
I'm here to kick ass and chew bubble gum.
Chew cobalt gum.
So I take it we're gonna walk around the edge in the shadows
Yeah.
towards him?
I'm gonna try and sneak towards him.
Oh, you're serious?
Clop, clop,
Okay.
clop, 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 clop. I'm not saying I'm gonna attack him. I'm trying to bypass the
Everything. The weird
everything
shit in
else.
this room.
Yeah, you can walk around this area.
Sticking close to the walls in the shadows.
Bum, 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 bum.
Yeah, like this room must extend on miles, like past where he's at. It looks like literally he rounded the statues and then set up in the first convenient area.
Uh-huh.
And as Suna kind of gets a feel for things, he starts coming back. I mean, you guys are hidden in the darkness.
Mm-hmm. Stop. He's coming back.
Well, if we want to talk to him, do we want to step out and talk to him?
Do we want all of us to step out and talk to him?
I'll step out and talk to him
I
because
know-
I'm the one who can talk to him.
We know you can. You will. If it wasn't going to be you, it was going to be him.
I
Well,
don't know.
can anyone understand him?
No.
No.
Okay, then stay hidden and be ready to attack.
Okay.
Excuse me. In Draconic.
Yep. So as he's coming back, he's got some other stone tablets,
Uh-huh.
and it looks like he has like these blood spots on him because he has plucked scales out.
Uh-huh.
as he goes to walk by you and you say, "Excuse me," he just holds up a claw and then just walks right past you.
Excuse me, you're bleeding.
He walks over to the group, drops off the stone tablets. Goes, yes, okay. Second revision. Less gas. No, more gas. Less surface air. No. External ignition? External ignition, yes. At which point he takes one of those scales and starts shaping it again, and his winged friend, takes a perch closer to him and starts jotting down some notes.
Guys, he's ignoring me.
He's busy.
I'm not used to people ignoring me.
I mean, I could throw a rock at his head.
That's
Not yet. I'll be right back.
tap him.
Tap him on the shoulder.
Excuse me.
Oh my god, this feels so dangerous.
He holds up a claw. In process.
I'll do something real dumb. I'm gonna pull out my potion of healing and say, "Excuse me, you're bleeding."
Takes the organ in his hand that he's working on, holds his hand out, and that really big guy kind of just ambles over and grabs a hold of it. He takes the potion out of your hand. Inferior. Weak. And he just drops it and it shatters. And then he holds his hand back out, and that guy hands him back that organ, which he begins shaping.
Look back to them and be like, "What the fuck?"
Have you spoken to anyone with a huge ego with their head after
Actually,
asking for work?
no, I have not. Usually I'm punching the people with a huge ego and deflating it.
He holds up that organ, and it has now expanded quite a bit, and it looks like that gas sack that you saw. And he squeezes it, and you can stay out of the general area, but you get this real strong whiff of something, and your nose begins to go numb. At which point he flicks a finger, and this small little fireball appears in his hand, and when he squeezes it, it just goes whoosh, and lets out this huge gust of fire.
Impressive.
He kind of nods, turns to the wingy fellow and says, "We're going to keep the external ignition source. Is much more efficient. Side note, create another one capable of externally igniting. Although,
Pardon me, sir.
that defeats the purpose. It requires 2 units. And he just takes the organ and drops it right in front of the little furnace guy, who picks it up and throws it in his mouth, and it glows brightly and then is consumed.
Do you speak common?
He turns around and looks at you. Interloper. Yes, interloper. He walks around you and is kind of just poking you in various places. And at one point
Hey, not to tell.
he grabs your coat and lifts it up. Ineffective armor. And just lifts it up to see, what's under it. Pokes you in the ribs.
Not just a side of beef for you to inspect.
Subject too talkative. Make a note to remove tongue.
Count him.
You walked into that.
Galdrian's getting ready to step out just in case things take a turn.
I see you're creating more kobolds.
Dislike that designation is not accurate.
How should I designate them?
You should not. They are not yours.
How should I call them?
You should not. At which point he just turns around and grabs one of the scales. Says, "Perhaps I need to clear my mind." And then he looks over at one of the walls where there's nobody. Says, "Yes, you're correct as always. I should clear my mind. Work on a new project. I know. Yes, I know. And he starts shaping one of those scales into what looks like a gigantic talon, way bigger than what would fit on any of his creatures thus far. And by the time he's done, like, it's so big that the big guy has to carry it while he shapes it.
I'm gonna come walking away from the wall, and I'm gonna have one of my acorns and just kind of tossing it up and down, and see if I can get his attention.
More Cocoa Puffs.
Maybe I can be his clean slate. Come look at me. Type look.
I excel at one thing.
Right.
Do I at least get his attention?
Yeah, when you walk in, he stops what he's doing.
Because I imagine I'm glowing a little bit with the red, and
Yeah, you walk up to him, with acorn in your hand, and he stops what he's doing. He says, interruptions, interlopers. And he's, no.
I'm your fresh idea.
Yeah, he looks over just to a space where there's nobody. He says, yes, you are correct. We must consider all options at this point. And he just stops what he's doing, walks over to you, and kind of like pokes one of your ears. Enhanced hearing. Yes, good.
Yes.
Like hooks just a finger in your nose and
Wait, hey,
lifts up.
Hey.
Enhanced scent. Excellent. Good scout unit.
Okay.
He walks around you and at one point just like grabs your tail and lifts it up.
Hey. I used to have 9 of them.
Means of translocation inefficient. Needs more legs.
No. So then while he's looking at me, I'm going to turn into a raven and fly like right at eye level.
When you do that, he goes, no! Inefficient!
Right.
This guy's bonkers.
Is the dagger vibrating at all by any chance?
Yes.
Can I punch him now? I want to punch him so bad.
Well, Eldamian?
He is basically just like screaming obscenities at Suna as she's flying around. At which point he stops and turns. More interlopers! Why?
Eldamian, I don't think you want this one.
The dagger is just like vibrating in its sheath, and he
Eyes on the prize. Eyes on the prize. Look at me. Look at me. Eyes on the prize.
But he might be able to take over and be somebody else rather than the crazy. That could just be a vessel.
The kobold comes just marching up to the two of you and just pokes you both right in the ribs at the same time. Explain your presence.
Is he talking in common?
Yes.
He's getting slapped away.
We are looking for a woman. Hair fiery.
Hair.
Or where I have hair, she has fire.
He stands on his tippy toes and reaches up and like taps you on the forehead. He goes, hair.
Yes, very tactile.
And then he reaches up and just like grabs a lock of Galbraith's hair and goes, hair.
Yes, it is. Did I?
Hair inefficient. And he just lets you go.
Yes.
Self-regulatory, better. Needs scales.
I'm going to come back and land on his shoulder.
He just goes into all-out flail mode.
I don't think he likes being touched.
I'm going to fly up.
Well, that's one same thing he's done.
And he points at Suna and says, wings! Yes, wings!
Are you keeping a woman, a humanoid woman like the two of us, and realizing that Ardith and I are the only ones that are humanoid, that are human-ish, and Is there one chained to a wall anywhere?
He looks around. Looks in all directions. Looks up.
I'm guessing that's a no.
Are there more of you?
Well, there is something moving within the walls.
Within the walls? No. No. Although, burrowing through rock. Wouldn't expect it. Capable of surprise.
Maybe.
What is
Maybe.
your name?
Shrapnel upon escape, and he walks over to one of the guy with the wings and starts yelling at him in Draconic. Wings and burrowing and shrapnel.
I think we're giving this guy ideas.
So, Iacus, in your draconic mind, library thingy, have you ever heard of elder dragons that maybe guide other kobolds, dragons, or whatever?
Well, yeah,
Maybe
because-
he thinks he's hearing gods of how to make other dragons.
At which point he turns and shouts off into the darkness. I know, but there's only so much space.
See?
Unless we use, and he just spins around very quickly, a larger frame. Why did I not think of
He's
this?
talking to someone.
He thinks he's talking to someone.
Exactly.
It could be.
Yeah.
He spins back around.
He's still bonkers.
But 2 limbs, 4 limbs, could be 6. Why stop at 6? Why not have 100?
Because
I'm
wouldn't
gonna-
they fall over each other?
He stops and stares at you.
That would be too many. There is such thing as too many.
If they serve their purpose, there's no such thing as too many.
But
Why-
what purpose would they serve other than falling over each other?
Why not have 1,000,000 legs?
Right.
So you're talking like a millipede.
Ah, insectile, carapace, exoskeleton. Very good.
While he's talking, I want to bash him over the head with non-lethal damage. I want to knock him out.
So
I think he needs a nap.
you bonk him over the head. All of the kobolds, what are in the room, look very, very discomfortable. They just immediately start looking at each other. Even Wide Eyes, his big eyes have gotten bigger.
Does he go down?
Yes, he just hits the floor. At which point you start hearing this.
Do I feel any other tremors?
Yeah. As Suna looks out, she starts seeing these red points in the darkness, and you start seeing these dark shadows
From behind or in
all
front?
around you.
Ah,
You,
fantastic.
you are now in a 20 by 20 square of light, and you start seeing figures of the dreaming darkness start just raising themselves up out of the shadows.
I pick him up. I grab his neck and say, if y'all come closer, y'all lose your master scientist.
That's where we'll cut it for the night.
Okay.
Damn it.
Womp. So,
Okay.
To be fair, that lasted longer than I guess it's like
We were all staring at him like, what are you on, dude?
he broke my healing potion.
I was almost proud of you guys for half a second. Almost proud.
And then there's Iacus.
I'm gonna change that flowchart from Suna to Iacus.
Can I punch it? No. Can I punch it now? No.
It's just a single
I'm
line.
still-
It's gonna punch it. Nope. Anyway. So yeah, we'll cut it there for this episode. You guys,
Got to see a lot of sex this episode.
I mean,
And,
Might get to see a lot more next episode.
and Iacus let us know how to handle the sex.
that's fair.
Got to get in there at the right angle.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need just one hand to handle the sack. Sometimes you need 2. That happens.
And you gotta go up under it sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta cut from below.
Okay.
I'm gonna kick you in the sack.
All right, so all the usual stuff. Find us on Patreon, the website. That'll be in the show notes.
Despite the last conversation, not on OnlyFans.
We'll have an OnlyFans. That'll just be us cosplaying as weird dragon abominations.
People are into that shit.
Yeah.
Hey, fruitstompingcowboy.com is a thing for a reason. So that's all I've got for this episode. So thanks, guys. We'll see y'all next time.